It's Baby and Mary, we know you have been waiting, so here's another podcast about movies. Burn after watching.
Welcome everyone to the Burn After Watching podcast.
Hi everyone.
Hello. Today we are talking about a international nominee for the Oscar that just happened yesterday, but we liked it so much we want to talk about it. So we're doing a little episode on Perfect Days.
Perfect Days.
And we wanted to have another film kind of connected to Perfect Days. On my watch list, I had Cure, which is a Japanese film that it's been on my watch list for a long time. So I was like, you know what? Let's just do a double feature here.
Yep.
Let's talk about two of its biggest film to date.
And we really enjoyed his performance in Perfect Days. So
Yes.
we were looking forward to watch another movie with him in it.
But before we get started and we talk about that,
Please subscribe.
Find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, all the podcast places. We are there. Like, subscribe, follow, comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
But before we get started.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Oscar.
Yesterday was the Oscars.
Woo!
Is there anything that surprised you, made you happy? I think so.
Yes, I was very happy overall. I think this was a great year. First of all, I think only 3 films won multiple Oscar, which I think is a good thing. Like spreading the love, giving Oscar to, it's kind of boring when it's the same film winning everything.
Yeah.
So I love that like 10 film overall received Oscar. Obviously, Oppenheimer, was the biggest kind of movie of the night. Director, actor, supporting actor, editing as well. One thing that I love is that sound, which I expected to go to Oppenheimer, went to the zone of interest.
I know, right? I was really surprised and so happy because they really did a great job.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
it's such a movie that the sound of Oppenheimer is amazing. The
But it
sound
was
of zone
such-
of interest is crucial. It's needed.
I agree with you. And to me, like Oppenheimer was the obvious choice for
Yeah.
sound. So I was really happy for Zone of Interest. And I agree with what you said. I think Zone of Interest it's crucial because you never get to see, you just hear.
And I think the other big winner, 5 Oscar, is Poor Things.
Whoa, I want to talk about Poor Things
Yes.
because early during the evening, they started winning. It started with hair and makeup,
Yep.
and then production design,
Yep.
and
Costume.
Let me tell you something. I had predicted these 3 categories, and I'm so happy for the people that are part of that team who contribute directly to the success of the movie. I was so happy for them. And then later in the evening, Emma Stone won for Best Actress, and I'm just so happy for her. I'm
amazing.
lacking words for her performance in that movie.
It was my favorite performance.
Me too.
American Fiction, Best Adapted Screenplay. Anatomy of a Fall, Best Original Screenplay, which I think is well-deserved.
Really, Justin Trier.
Yeah. Did they
She
win
won-
everything else? No, I think that's it.
She won.
Directing went to Nolan. Well-deserved. Barbie got Best Song. That's the only thing they got. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed though the performance by Ryan Gosling with the dancers.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I wish I'm Just Can would have won.
Me too. Yeah.
But they went with the more sad, slow song. Just so you know, as always, when we talk about film, we like to talk about them. So we're going to be talking about the whole film. So there will be some spoilers. If you haven't seen those films, but you care about not learning, some plot points, things that happen in the film, maybe just skip the episode until you've seen them. Awesome. Let's get started and let's talk about Cure from 1997. This is a psychological thriller. Psychological thriller from Japan, starring Koji Yakusho. Never first watch for both of us.
Yeah. And he plays a police detective in that movie where he's trying to resolve murders.
Yeah, and what's weird is he has multiple murders from people that basically commit murder, wake up, and they admit to it. They said that they did it. They don't understand why they did it, but they just, I did it in that moment. I felt like that was kind of what I need to do. And I kind of just wake up. There's a lot of interrogation, trying to kind of figure out what's happening and try to link them. If someone kind of asked him to do it, if they were, manipulated or something. And this is where I guess we get into kind of, is it possible that it's like hypnosis?
Early on, I called it out. To me, though, the main guy, like the suspect, which the policeman early in the movie kind of capture and try to interrogate, was getting a little bit on my nerves because he keeps repeating that he doesn't know his name, he can't remember anything, and he does not speak, does not collaborate.
Yeah.
So that was kind of annoying, and also like the way that he hypnotizes the doctor, the teacher, the policeman.
But yeah, I think you make that point too, that it feels like, I think it feels like maybe you would say, oh, this couldn't happen to me.
Yeah.
And then we kind of figure out that I think they purposely pick people with profession that
seem like less vulnerable.
They imply that they maybe are, very smart. The fact that he's able to manipulate them as well kind of give you this like, oh, so it could be he's anyone. That strong.
Yeah. It was a little bit silly by moments because he uses, like, to hypnotize, he uses a lighter or water. And I was like, okay, earth, wind, and fire, the 4 elements. And it was kind of silly, but I liked it. And then the more the movie moves forward, the policeman goes to his place and finds like a dead monkey and books.
The books, yeah.
And kind of realizes with also a videotape.
So, like, I think that the big thing is that it seems like
it's a little bit complicated.
Well, first, I agree with you. I think the second hour is a lot better than the first hour. I think the first hour, it's not that it's bad, but I think there's a lot of setup. And it does feel a bit silly until everything kind of kicks in.
Yeah.
And then I think it achieved kind of like the weird paranormal thriller vibe a lot better in the second half. I think what you're mentioning is that the professor that is helping the detective kind of figure out that there's this ongoing, and it's been going for a long time, that people are hypnotizing people and asking them to commit murder. But at the same time, is the reason why the professor believes that's not what's happening is that he says each person have a line in their morality and you can't hypnotize someone to cross that line. But, this kind of weird guy that doesn't talk much is able to ask people to commit murder multiple times. And I think that one thing that we kind of like click once the movie was over is a lot of the subtext and a lot of things that it's saying is very interesting. I think this idea of the cycle of violence, that this power to be able to hypnotize people and get them to commit, crime is kind of passed down, as, generation to generation in a way. Like it's getting passed down from one person to another. And it's kind of like creating this cycle of violence, but also that it's kind of making a commentary that this line between human and beast is not very much, like it's not actually there. When people are more monster than you would believe or you would want it to be.
But to me, though, the movie, I really, really, really loved the ending. And to me, that's where it really tied up in the first part of the movie, where all the attention is on him and we think, oh, it's him, that specific person. It actually reminded me of Charles Manson, because he never killed anyone with his hands. He just manipulated people to kill other people. So at first, when we were focused on only the guy, I was like, oh, okay. But then the movie took another turn that I really didn't expect. I must say, for a movie that's more than 25 years old, it really looks good.
It looks good because
really
of the practical
aged
effect.
Well.
Because we watched this because of Koji Yakusho. I really liked him into this. It's obviously a very different vibe than Perfect Days. But I really liked his performance. And there's a pivotal scene that we won't spoil. But that scene punched me in the gut. It was so, like, first visually. And also just his performance, I think, felt very real. It was not kind of screaming, overacting. It was really restrained, but like you could feel.
It reminded me of the last scene in Perfect Days.
Yep.
I really love him.
Saying a lot by not like with the restraint of when emotion like rush in to someone, it's like they don't scream, they don't say anything. It's like everything stopped. You stop breathing, like you stuck. This is for him also 25 years of acting. I think you got even more precise and subtle in Perfect Days. I don't know actually if this came out before or after 7, but I wonder if they influence each other in some way.
2 years later.
So 7, So it could be that this was somewhat inspired by 7, at least maybe just the aesthetic or the vibe or anything.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't like about Cure though, the first 10 minutes, they playing like this kind of silly, funky music over kind of like a murder. And I was like, what is happening right now? I was so confused. I was like, oh no, I'm not going to like this, because I feel like maybe they tried to go music that like, contrasts the action too much. But it's the only time that they play kind of, it feels a bit odd and out of place.
Yeah.
But that's the only time it happened.
As I said, there's a few scenes where there's, water dripping or like the fire. And I was like, oh boy.
Actually, the director, I read that the director said that he purposely let those shots go a bit longer than he needed to kind of teach the audience that like it's easy to get kind of lost in those repetitive. So there's one time where there's just water, like little drop dripping on the floor, and the shots stay there for like 30 seconds. And he said, I just kept it there so you start to like just watching without realizing that you're watching it for so long, because it is kind of like inviting in trance, like to watch something repetitive. He basically almost anticipated that people would be, it's a bit silly or blah, blah, blah. So he said, I'm just going to prove it to you that it's not silly. I'm going to do it to you. There's probably a lot of little things like this we haven't kind of saw on the first watch that, would come out in a second or third watch.
It was a good movie, and I would save it because it's really different, and I would give it a 3.5. Yeah. I'm
going to also save it, and I'm going to give it a 4.
Let's talk about Perfect Days.
Let's do it. We wanted to watch it before we did our episode on Zone of Interest, Society of the Snow, and we talked about the Teacher's Lounge. Yep. This was one that got pushed back, so we didn't get the chance to see it. And wow.
Oh, wow. What a great movie. It's like a kiss on your forehead.
It's like a hug.
A big hug.
And I'm going to say something. If one day for some reason you disappear or die, if something happened to you and I'm a old man by myself, this is my life. This is what my life will be like.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said when we left the theater. I was like, okay,
the whole time you were looking at me like,
this is you.
This is so you.
because let's just explain a little bit. So basically, it's just a regular day, just days that are spent with what's the name of his character in the movie?
Yama.
And he works for the
Tokyo Toilet.
Yeah. And so he goes to work. He gets up. You just follow him through his routine. He loves routine. He's used to doing. He gets up, folds the bed in a certain way. He shaves. He brushes his teeth.
The
waters
plants.
his plants. He loves plants. I adore the moment where he opens the door before going to work. He looks outside, takes a deep breath, and he's just such a great guy. Like everything is about his positive attitude. He goes to the vending machine, buys a coffee in a can, and it's written boss on it. Yeah. And every morning, so most of the music we hear in that movie comes from, he adores cassettes.
And it's all 70s, 60s American rock. Folk, soul.
Sometimes Japanese though. One time,
but like I
really liked it.
Yeah,
but really great soundtrack, especially when he's with his niece and they play Brown Eyed Girl.
Yeah,
so fun.
And you get to kind of it's kind of a slice of life where you just follow him through. Like it's not a film where like there's a big conflict that's gonna happen. He's gonna have to figure out something. There's little things that happen to him, but it's not trying to like. It's funny because we're so used to seeing film like this.
I know
that. For example, at some point he has to work a double shift because his coworker quit like randomly. Yeah. So he works super long into the night, and then you see in the morning, and you're like, oh, now he's gonna be late, and he's not gonna wake up, and it's gonna create like this is not this type of movie. But
it's just he adapts to whatever shows up in his routine.
But you almost like you feel like, oh no, something's bad's coming, because you're so used to like the rhythm and like the cliche or like the kind of the lines that movies use,
and just how human beings are.
Yeah.
You know, like anticipating, I mean, sometimes the worst, but that doesn't happen in that movie. And it's funny because every lunch break that he has, he goes to the park and he has an old camera and takes it out, takes a photo of the tree. And every lunch, he also has a sandwich, white bread, but it has no crust. And it looks so good. When we came out of the movie, we literally went to buy a white bread and I made a sandwich with no crust. I love his character. He's a good guy, a good citizen, wants to help.
It's really just spending 2 hours with him.
Yeah.
And there's things that happen. Like we said, that his niece shows up, but it's not like anything dramatic. What's interesting with spending so much time with him through his routine is that you get to see why a person like him has routine and what does it protect him from. Because like there's little thing that happen that break
really
his routine.
Yep.
And when it breaks, you can start to see the crack of like this person is trying. Routine is a band-aid over something that he doesn't want to look under. There's a very interesting study of characters in there, but it's not a film that, you know, you need to, there's patience. You need to be patient.
Yeah, I agree with you. But he's very interesting. And as you said, like the niece plays a big part of maybe the healing he has to do, because his sister, to whom he doesn't talk anymore, because like he explains to his niece, your mom and I are very different.
Yeah.
Anyway, she shows up to get back her daughter and saying thank you. And she brought him his favorite chocolate. And she says to him, I can't believe, or are you really cleaning bathrooms?
Toilets.
Finally, she leaves. And for the first time, he bursts into tears. And it got me so emotional because he seems like he's holding a lot.
But I don't feel like he's ashamed himself of doing that.
No, me
but
neither.
I think he feels bad that
she's
someone
judging him, family, close. Yeah.
He's not ashamed, and I think he's happy with his work, but he feels bad that like his sister is not able to be happy for him. That he found something that makes him happy every day, that he's content with.
Yeah, I agree.
Because she thinks that he could.
It's like a lower job.
Yeah, and I think it hurts him that she looked down at him because of his job.
Yeah.
When for him it's like, I'm doing something good here.
And plus, I love his devotion to actually doing a great job in cleaning the bathroom. And sometimes you see him taking out like a little mirror to see underneath the toilet to make sure it's really clean.
And I think there's a bunch of little things, like I think you get to understand that maybe he has, you know, someone that he's attracted to at the bar.
Yeah.
You also follow him going to the public bath, doing his laundry.
Oh, the public bath is so like,
it's really,
oh my God, yeah.
It's a movie that found beauty, like in terms of cinematography, and like it's very simple. Like it's not a complex movie, but it's finding a lot of beauty in like the everyday.
Yes. And you were going to say when he brings his camera, the roll to get developed.
Yep. And then he goes to the bar, he gets a drink, he watches baseball, and it keeps like going and going and going. And it like repeating those actions and seeing them over and over again is reinforcing this entire message of, first of all, today is today, tomorrow is tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's also like this idea of like finding something beautiful in the day, like in today,
in the
like
moment.
we're in the moment
Living
right
in
now.
the moment,
And that's what he does. Like he look up every day, he looks outside, he breathes in, he sit down, he have his lunch, he take a picture of trees. Every time he see a plant that, you know, he thinks is like a baby tree or something, he brings it home, he take care of them.
Yeah.
He give books, he reads a lot of books, but he give books or music to people.
And even though you were saying the actions are shown many times, but they're also shown with a different perspective. So that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's a movie kind of hard to talk about because it feels like there's not much.
Yeah.
And really there's not that much, but that's the whole point. It's like, it's about finding good things in the everyday.
And I have to talk about the final scene where he's just in his car and the song Feeling Good by Nina Simone starts playing. And I really, really am so happy that they played the whole song. And you, through his eyes that are kind of tearing up.
And the camera stays on him
the
entire
whole time.
like 3 minutes long.
And I feel all his feels.
Yeah.
all his feels.
Like this scenes alone is why he won Best Actor at Cannes.
Yeah.
Like we saw Sandra Hüller nominated for an international film. She was in 2 films, so I think there was a Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall. I think there would be, I personally think you could take out Bradley Cooper and put him in for Best Actor.
Yeah.
Just as a, hey, look at this. This is amazing. I think he deserves it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I really, 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 really loved his performance.
So now...
And I really have to, I can't stress enough the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And every time he hops in his little van and plays a cassette, reminded me of my dad and I going on rides. In
contrast to the type of film you see, I think it's very pleasant and kind of a like you said, like it's a hug, or it's something that is very calming to see that. And the music is beautiful. One thing that was interesting was there's mini dream sequence that normally flashes through a few things that happen in the day.
Yeah.
And I love that this is kind of like a representation, and it happens a lot. It's a representation of, like, it's almost a quick highlight, as if he was picturing things that happened today and be appreciative and like not forgetting the small things every single night. And
I think it's a great way also to kind of structure the film, because basically showing it just every day. Yeah,
it is repetitive, so that helps.
But I could really understand someone saying, you know, oh gosh, there isn't much going on, or it's a little bit long. I think you really have to like open your heart and not expect anything dramatic, no like huge action.
Yeah, if you're used to watching just the big film, that's going to test your patience. If you're someone that watch more maybe indie cinema, I think this is something that to me, it's not like insanely, it's not testing my patience.
No, me neither.
But I get it for someone that see, 20 film a year, 10
compared
film a year.
Dune, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely save this movie, and I would give it a 4 out of 5.
It's a save for me too. It's also a 4 out of 5. I actually bumped it into my top 5 of 2023 in the 5th position. And for me, looking at all the international nominees, we haven't seen Ep.10, but I would say it would be Zone of Interest, Perfect Days, Society of the Snow, and then Teacher's Lounge.
Yeah, me too. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm really enjoying watching with you Japanese movies lately. And of course, it's quite different from Monster and Shoplifters.
Yes.
That we really, really enjoy. But there is a similar kind of kiss on the forehead. I don't know how to say it differently, but I really am enjoying these Japanese movies that we've been discovering lately.
And it's funny because it's Wim Wenders, who's German, who did a movie for Japan.
I didn't know that.
That doesn't happen a lot, but so it's actually a German director that did a movie for Japan, and Japan
Perfect Days?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not a Japanese, but I think but it shows that he took the time to really I guess take in the Japanese culture, because the film have a beautiful representation of Japanese culture. Like it's very. And I think that's why Japan picked it, even though it's not a Japanese director. It's really rare. They wouldn't. They would submit a non-Japanese director film as a representation for the country at the Oscar.
That's true.
So that's impressive. But I think it does really represent Japan in a beautiful and honest way.
I really, really loved it. I would rewatch it.
Oh, me too. I think it's for
sure. Is it available Criterion Collection?
Not Criterion Collection. Not yet, at least. And this kind of like wrap up, I guess, all the Oscar thing that we wanted to watch. There's some that we haven't seen, but I think in terms of, the one that we were chasing to watch. I think this was the last one that we really, really wanted to see.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Listening.
Subscribe. If you haven't checked out YouTube yet, subscribe. We also releasing videos on here. I just released last week my Denis Villeneuve rank video, which I watched every Denis Villeneuve film, all 12 of them, and ranked them. And if you want to be mad about something, go check out where Blade Runner 2049 is, because people will be mad.
Thank you so much, you guys and girls. Bye.
Bye.